do Batman the Killing Joke.
Oh, he's been waiting for it.
He's been waiting.
I have. For me personally, the Killing Joke.
Could you explain?
It's quite an infamous graphic novel, isn't it?
Yeah, could you explain a little bit what it's about?
Define infamous.
Well, I mean, like, infamous for being extremely mature. Like,
yeah. It's a fan favourite. And recently, actually, because Mark Hamill, who is, I believe at this point, probably, it's safe to say he is...
Definitive?
He's the iconic voice of the Joker, I would say. He's very... Because obviously, the first time he did it was 80s or 90s sort of time with the... The film actually did all of this. They had like a little documentary part on before it. For reference, anyone that doesn't know, I actually went out of town. I went to Hartlepool to catch one of the because I think they only did like 2 days of screenings.
Extremely limited.
Really limited.
Yeah, and it was they weren't even going to do that, but like it got such hype that they were like, all right, we'll do it. And then I think I saw it at the cinema, and then literally the next day it's out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's this Monday.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's Mark Hamill does a fantastic job. I don't mind saying that because he is the iconic voice of the Joker to a lot of generations, actually, because obviously he started with the animated series, so a lot of people who grew up in 90s watching the Batman animated series will recognise him from that instantly, and he has a lot of that twang. More recently, he did Arkham Asylum. And all of the Arkham games, well, except Arkham Origins, but that's another matter.
Yeah.
But
wasn't that it was Troy Baker, that wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. Who didn't do too bad a job. I think he actually Troy Baker does them in the Injustice games rather as well, I believe. But so with the Arkham games, he brings something quite new to it again, in the sense that like. You get the clowniness in the sort of animated version, and the Arkham games made it something much more real, something much more darker, and actually quite terrifying at times. And what I love about the Killing Joke, is Mark Hamill's voice. It's very, very in between the two.
Right.
You can hear elements of the animated series, it's because it is anime. Yeah. But at the same time, you can really hear how he's been inspired by the Arkham games to go ahead and do something much more dark and gritty, something that really suits the subject matter of the film.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit. I'll do Ryan's bit here.
Okay.
I'll talk about what the Killing Joke actually
go on,
is.
I haven't seen it. Go ahead.
Essentially, it's I don't mind spoiling the beginning bit a little bit, because it starts before the comics. It has a little bit before it.
Prologue.
Yeah, I suppose so. Basically, what it does is it investigates the Batgirl, Batman sort of relationship. There is that this was all original to the film, actually, but the thing is. She'd already been established in the comics before, so I think they kind of wanted to bring that relationship up. There is a bit of an awkward bit where Batman and Batgirl have sex.
Does that come out of nowhere?
A little bit. A little bit. Probably, if I had to, probably my biggest criticism of it.
Right.
That would be my... I feel... a little bit like that was a bit iffy. But other than that, after a certain point, I personally have not read the comics yet. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten round to it, although I do plan on it. After that, it is essentially frame for frame. It's and you can see that I've seen some of the more iconic shots from it, and that they've actually kept the exact same art style.
Okay.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
There are bits where, because Alan Moore has quite a really distinctive art style, and there are a lot of bits where, like, lots of reflections and you can see there are bits where, like, every now and then the Joker will be facing one way and you'll turn around and it'll just match a frame from the comic. You're like,
I've heard a lot of criticism, about the animation. I've heard people say it's cheap.
I didn't think so.
I've heard.
I think it was, I wouldn't say cheap. It felt quite... retro.
Retro.
If it looked like I say, obviously they worked in a lot of comic like frames from the actual comic, which I thought was really like proper like love letter to it kind of thing. It was nice, but it does have a sort of a way of moving with the animation. I know why they've done it that way, because it actually looks the same way the animated series does. So people will argue that, you know, could have been so much more, like, could have been better animated, but at the same time, again, you can see why they did it. Right. It has a more cartoonish feel to it. But honestly, if I had to say, like, my two favourite things about the film in itself, is it does essentially what the comics set out to do. And obviously hearing the iconic voices of the Joker and Batman, that being Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, the two have worked together for a really long time. And they have a really, really good dynamic between the two of them. And it's so obvious. And it's fantastic because the whole point of the Killing Joke after the prologue, this is what the comic is about, the narrative of it doesn't matter too much.
Right.
It could just be any other Batman story. It could be quite short or whatever. But there are bits of Joker's backstory and whatnot, which usually I would oppose to. I don't like it when they give Joker a backstory. Yeah. This one does it very well. Like, basically, it gives you the whole backstory, and then at the very end, there's a line. It's like, but then I like to think of my history as multiple choice. it might be different the next time I tell it, and you get that element that, like,
so it's a bit more jovial than the sort of Joker representations of the film screen in recent years.
No, he's terrifying. Yeah. He's straight up like
that's sort of more like crazy, but like sort of more entertaining than certainly more than Jared Leto.
With Jared Leto, this is he has more of the clown about him. He has more of this theatrical sense to him, I think. So much more of a I suppose, for lack of a better word, this sort of pizzazz, this showmanship, which honestly I really loved it. But the whole point of the Killing Joke really is exploring the relationship between Batman and the Joker. It's very and obviously, like I say, that's why I think it works well between Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, because they've worked together on so many things. Obviously, they did it in the animated series, they did it in the Arkham games, and they've had so many years of just building up sort of this dynamic between the two in terms of voice, and it really, I think it really shows. And honestly, I would have said that, like, I wouldn't have had anyone else do it for the Killing Joke, because obviously the main emphasis being the relationship between the two. This whole there's a fantastic line in it where Batman's like, I realize this can't go on forever. One of us is going to kill the other one eventually. I mean, maybe you'll kill me, maybe I'll kill you. I don't know, but he turns around and he says, I just don't ever want to think that I would let it come to that point without actually trying to patch things,
right?
Kind of thing. But yeah, it does do some fantastic sort of, like, because I don't mind saying that the Dark Knight does quite a good job of this, because you know there's that whole thing where it's like Batman's obviously trying to get him, trying to arrest him and whatnot, and the Joker gets to a certain point and he's like, you know what, on second thought, I don't even want you dead. Do you know what I mean? I actually, like, I'm having way too much fun with this, and it's just this ever perpetuating cycle between the two, which I realised that obviously in the beginning comics was just a trope.
Yeah,
it was something that happened and people made criticism of it. And what I think is fantastic about what Alan Moore did with the Killing Joke was that he managed to bring it round and sort of really explore why that happens. The fact that it somehow becomes conscious of the it becomes conscious of this sort of thing that Batman and the Joker have, where it's like, Batman won't kill the Joker because he's got rules. Joker won't kill Batman because it's too much fun. And it's just this cycle of Batman catches Joker, puts him back in prison, Joker breaks out, kills a bunch of people. Batman is then forced to go and get him again.
They're the ultimate yin and yang, aren't they?
Essentially. And I mean, it's they're kind of two different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Sort of. Are you guys familiar with how alignment charts work?
Not particularly.
You got like lawful, neutral, evil. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Lawful,
and then,
lawful,
evil.
neutral, chaotic, and good, neutral, evil. And it's like Batman's a bit of a dodgy one, but he's a better representation of lawful good.
Mm-hmm.
He follows rules, does things as he feels they should be done, and Joker is the perfect example of chaotic evil.
Yes.
And the way that they go against each other, they are the iconic sort of good guy bad guy combo. And
it was like yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah. And
literally what I've just said.
Brian's literally
just said that.
Well, I wasn't listening.
Joe's on his phone. But I felt it did a good job of that. And I mean, it's hard to talk about it as much of a film, because obviously, other than the beginning bit, which seems arguably somewhat arbitrary to the rest of the film, because it's like the whole thing that sparks this is essentially Barbara Gordon, who is Batgirl, gets shot. That's like the beginning of the comics, and that sparks Batman into essentially almost like a blood rage kind of thing. It's like, because but it's from that point on, it's hard to talk about it as a narrative, because it's no narrative that hasn't already been established in the comic.
Okay. Would you say it's a thing for definitely for the comic book fans to see?
Well, I think comic book fans are either going to go one of two ways with it. They're gonna either there are a couple of ways you can go, because obviously you can look at the beginning bit and say, well, it's not needed and it's not in the thing, and again, the sexy times is almost certainly unneeded.
Yeah.
That's my biggest criticism, but that once that's out of the way,
Is that the one part that ends at 15, do you think? Because we were talking about this on Thursday, weren't we?
I'd say just the nature of the Joker.
Right.
Really done properly, the Joker is genuinely quite a brutal villain, quite horrific. And yeah, he does. Mark Hamill does that very, very well. It's like there are a few moments where you're just like, Jesus, like he's. Oh.
Yeah. I
mean, I know it sounds daft, but like, God, has he gone too far? This kind of thing. It's like,
has the Joker gone too far?
Yeah, but yeah, it really does what it does, and it does very well. But I think as a comic book fan, you're probably either gonna love it because it's, after a certain point, it's frame for frame. You might be annoyed about it because of the odd bits that they add. But also, I suppose you could also be annoyed at the fact that it doesn't add anything.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. Like, you could argue that it adds too much, and you could argue that it adds nothing. But as
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But overall, if it isn't completely evident from the way I'm talking about it, I loved it.
Good.
It was iconic Batman versus iconic Joker, and it sort of really explored the psychology between the two and how the two work, and yeah, and it ends on literally the same punchline that the comic ends on.
Okay.
And it's oddly beautiful moment in a way. It's.
Well, I'm intrigued.
I would pick it up.
I might search it out.
It's worth a go, definitely.
I will check it out.
Batman: The Killing Joke, out on Blu-ray now.